Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash entitled people. In today's episode, no Karen, you cannot get me arrested for being an alcoholic. Male Karen threw a handful of coins at me at McDonald's. Strange parking choices. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. No Karen, you cannot get me arrested for being an alcoholic. So here's the deal. I drink a lot. I drink privately. I would never drink and drive. I am quiet and respectful. I have a job. I have friends. I have a nice apartment. I've never hurt anyone. Most nights, I like to chill out on my couch with a drink or 10. Thus, I often walk into my apartment building with a case of beer or whatever I decide to poison my body with that night. Many of those nights, I've run into a certain middle-aged woman on the elevator. Well, yesterday I got a phone call from my landlord. Here's how the conversation went. Me, hey Ray, what's up? LL, I got something awkward to tell you. Me, okay, what is it? LL, someone made a complaint about you. Me, what? For what? LL, another tenant called to say that you're an out-of-control alcoholic, and you always walk into the building carrying alcohol. She wants you out of the building. Me, okay. Long pause. We both start laughing. LL, yeah, she said the next time she sees you with alcohol, she's calling the cops. Me, tell her I said good luck with that, and to tell me how it goes. You can't get me arrested for being an alcoholic in peace, Karen. No, but if she does go through with it, you can lodge a complaint for harassment. Just turntable her for shits and giggles, LOL. Boy, oh boy, that would be sweet. LOL, how dare you buy legal things and bring them to your home and enjoy them. LOL, this for real made me laugh out loud. This reminds me about a couple of people gossiping about a friend of mine. I guess they didn't realize we were friends, and they started talking about how she had bought some bottles of wine at the grocery store like it was a bad thing to do. I looked at them and said, so what? I buy wine at the grocery store. Male Karen threw a handful of coins at me at McDonald's. This story happened when I was 20 and worked in a McDonald's while studying at university. I was shy and inexperienced of human nature, and it was my first job in the restaurant industry. McDonald's probably was a bold choice for a girl like that, but despite the humiliation and suffering, I'm glad I chose it because it made me one of the strongest person alive. One day on my second week of working there, I finished my shift at 10 p.m. In my country, most companies paid their workers that day, so everyone paid in cash with big banknotes. So in the last hour of my shift, I was struggling with giving back the change. My cash register mostly consisted of $50 and $100 notes or 1-5-10-25 cents. And of course, everyone rushed to spend their hard-earned money on McDonald's. A guy in his late 30s or early 40s, with a full business attire, walked in at around 9:50 p.m. He only asked for that small ice cream in a cone. It was $1 when this happened, and he paid with a banknote which is worth about $50 here. I asked him politely if he had a smaller banknote. He replied with a simple no. Until that point, there was nothing about him that screamed Karen. I could give him back $40 in banknotes. I told him I could only give him the last $9 in coins since there were no banknotes left in my cash reg. He let out a very annoyed and rude reply, but I thought it was directed at the situation and not me. I started counting the $9 to him in cents. I could only give him back the last $1.05 I accidentally gave him 95 cents. I didn't realize it until he said, "This is just $8.95. I immediately replied, "I am very sorry," and gave him the last 5 cents. I thought that was the end of it. That is when he started screaming from his lungs with a bright red face. "Did you really think you could get away with stealing from me? You are not going to take away my money." I looked up shocked, trying to process what was happening. He was screaming so loud that the whole McDonald's went silent and they were all staring at us. I told him, "I am sorry, it was not intentional. I just miscalculated the coins." He continued screaming. "You are not going to scam me. And what the F are these coins? Give me banknotes." and he threw all the coins from his grip at me. I stood there humiliated, intimidated, 50 people staring at me. I could only say, "I don't have banknotes." He replied, "Id gaff what you have, get me banknotes from somewhere." That is when the manager arrived to my station. He was the good guy manager, thankfully. He took over the situation, gave him his change, and firmly told him that cashiers cannot leave their station and can only handle the money that is in their register, and it is very unlikely someone would steal 5 cents. He dropped his brave, screaming attitude now that the manager wasn't a 20-year-old girl, and left. Before that incident, the only conflict I had was when my mom was mad at me for not tidying my room, so that was a lot for sure. I remember I walked home crying and shaking. Never saw him again after that. I had someone yell at me over 5 cents too. I was working at a Hallmark store, and this lady came up with a few items. She'd calculated all her items to total $8.01. When I rang them up, it came to $8.06, and she had a meltdown. She started yelling at how she didn't have sales tax in her home state and that she would not give the state of California sales tax either. Yeah, it doesn't work that way, lady. She made such a big deal about it that the man in line behind her slammed a nickel onto the counter and yelled at her, "Here, now shut up." I love that man. How did the woman react? Did she take the cent?
Lamau.
This was a strangely comforting read. I'm currently at this point in life, scared that I'm never going to be able to deal with people like this and keep a job to support myself. Strange parking choices. So I've got a somewhat odd neighbor across the street. Been there for about 10 years, and I've barely spoken with him, early 30s when he moved in. He is rarely out front of his home. He drives down the driveway from the back of his house, and then drives back in the same way. I just barely see the dude. From what the neighbors said who sold their house to him, he's a Googlenaire, sold an app that made a ton of money. He bought the house because it was close to the small local airport. To each his own. Anyways, he frequently parks strangely when he doesn't put the car in his driveway during the odd hours of the day that he comes and goes. For a while, he would park in front of my house, right in the middle of the frontage. So instead of 2 spots, there's just the one. And he does it when his own frontage is completely empty. As I have older in-laws and college-age kids that visit, I need close parking for them. I never saw the guy and he didn't answer his door twice, so I started putting orange cones in front when he was gone. After a month, issues ceased. Fast forward a year and it's time for Burning Man. Every year he has a dozen of his friends unload his garage into a giant U-Haul. Only time I ever see more than one person visiting. The prior year he had driven the truck into a neighbor's tree, knocking it down, and just went on like nothing happened. Thankfully, someone saw him and he was forced to take care of it. On this occasion, I see the truck show up and then his friends. I work from home, so I'm doing my thing through the course of the day. At 3 p.m., I have to go pick up my youngest from school and take their friends to rowing practice. I come outside, and there is a car parked across my driveway. The 2 spots along the frontage are empty, but this person parked blocking me in. And there is a child in a car seat. I call out to the neighbor's friends that they need to move the car. A woman, mid-30s, says, "Hold on, I'll just be half an hour."
Oh, no.
I need to leave right now to pick up my daughter at school. She rolls her eyes and tips her head back. Fine. Give me 15 minutes. As far as I could see, she'd not been doing anything at all except talking to one of the others when I had called out.
No. Saw thee.
Now, I need to get my daughter at school, and I don't have time to waste. She finally comes over pissed and moves her car. But rather than pulling forward 10 feet into the open frontage, she pulls her car into the driveway of a different neighbor, which I thought was odd. But hey, it's a dumb choice with no reasoning behind it, but not my current problem. I leave. I get back home 2 hours later, and her car is back in front of my driveway, and there is no one in sight. Again, unrestricted parking and open frontage in front of both my home and the odd neighbor, but her car is in front of my driveway. I knock on the odd guy's door. Nothing. I knock on the neighbor next door in whose driveway she'd parked. and they said they had forced her out when they got back with their daughter, but they had seen the group all pull out with the U-Haul. So I had her towed. 5 days later, could have been 4 or 6, I hear pounding at my door. It was the entitled girl and the odd neighbor, demanding to know where her car is. I had it towed. Here's their card. Why would you abandon your car in front of my driveway? I couldn't really make out the crazy she was screaming at me, but she seemed to suggest it was punishment for being so unreasonable. I think she called the police and the tow company. The cops laughed at her. She got a ride to the tow company from what I could tell. Never saw her again. Neighbor came over to apologize the next day. He hadn't seen her move her car the second time to my driveway. Towing her was punishment for her being an idiot. I wonder what exactly she thought was going to happen to her car after leaving it in front of someone's driveway and going away for a week. I swear some people are dense beyond belief. She was red with rage and nearly incoherent, so I never asked why to any of her actions. It was very puzzling, but I think she thought she would be punishing me for my temerity in asking her to move her car and was certain that there were no repercussions that could follow from her actions. Good job on having her car towed. I'd have been tempted to call the police about a child left in the car, to be honest with you. Absolutely. Immediately call the police that a child was abandoned in a car that was also blocking your driveway. Tow truck and a ticket and CPS. She was nearby and the windows were open when I first went to pick up my child. Rude act, but didn't appear to be particularly dangerous to her child IMHO. Well done, my friend. She intended to deprive you of access to your own driveway for 4 to 5 days. This one takes the cake. Apparently, she did not learn a lesson the first time she blocked a driveway. Sometimes, you just can't fix stupid. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.